Hello, my name is Mark Sanderson, and I'm running for town council here in Bloomfield. My wife grew up here. We moved back about 3 years ago, and really like the town, enjoy ourselves so far. Fortunately, she's had a lot of friends here from the past, and we've been able to renew those friendships and have really enjoyed our time here so far. A couple of things. We've had some challenges with the towns. There's a couple of blighted properties near our street, actually one on each end. I've been to the city over the last 2.5 years, asking for them to pay attention to them, and really haven't had any success in either of them. So it kind of got me interested in what's going on in the town as a result of that. And the more I asked around and the more I tried to get help, the less response I got. So we've lived in towns, I think a total of 10 states, 12 cities, had homes in most of them. We rented when we were first married in a couple. But for the most part, I've dealt with towns all up and down the eastern seaboard, and have never come across this situation. And I don't mean a house where it's just the grass doesn't get mowed for a couple of weeks or something. These are homes that are missing siding, substantial amounts of siding, or grass that's taller than the garbage cans, that kind of stuff. Anyway, I was just surprised by how the lack of attentiveness that the town had towards that. And then recently, with the budget referendums and that's gone on, I was very disappointed in the way that was handled too. When we lived in Atlanta, it's very common there to have planned communities where at all price levels they'd have, might have a swimming pool, maybe tennis courts, that kind of stuff. And you'd have the one we lived in was not an expensive neighborhood by any means, average price, but it had 350 homes. It had a pool and tennis courts, and there were a couple of small lakes in it. It sounds real fancy, but it wasn't. It was nice. But anyway, I served as a town council, not town council, homeowner association president there for 6 years. Maybe it's just because I was the only one silly enough to run, but I got a lot of experience dealing with homeowners, dealing with the town, dealing with ordinances and codes, financing, that kind of thing. And when I look at the way we deal with things here in Bloomfield versus the way other towns have dealt with stuff, the difference is pretty dramatic. I think we could do a much better job. And then when I look at the way our budget referendums go, and the way that was handled, I feel like our current town council is not as frugal as it could be. I feel that they've spent money that wasn't necessary. I think we could have been much more frugal. Some of the interest that we earned on our large amount of money, we've invested our fund of 22 million, I think 23 million. We made about $500,000 on interest, which was wonderful. That's what a town council should do in its fiduciary responsibility for the funds. But rather than turn that money into offsetting costs, they set it into another account. And then in this new budget, they put another $1 million in that account. And right now, there's no clear plans on how to spend it, who's going to be responsible for it, what the rules and regulations are for letting it go, or how to spend it. In fact, it was supposed to be managed by a group of the basically department heads in City Hall or Town Hall. But to the best of my knowledge, they haven't even met to figure out how to do it yet, which I think is just foolish. We need to be more frugal with our money, especially now that we're in a reval year where all of our home values are going up, and we're all going to be bearing a much higher tax burden than we have in the past. We need to be wise with our money, and I think we could do a better job. The other thing that comes to mind is our school system is obviously an issue. I really believe there's a lot of very intelligent kids in Bloomfield, and that's shown by how many of them have graduated from Bloomfield schools, go on to colleges, and done extremely well in their different venues. But We don't test well, apparently, and I don't begin to know everything there is to do about it. But when I look around at the school system and the way the Board of Education manages some things, I think we could do better there. For instance, the Board of Education houses itself in one of the older schools, and please forgive me, I don't know the name of it, but it's a small older school off of Day Hill Road, or Blue Hills Road, excuse me, Blue Hills Avenue. Anyway, rather than maintain a complete school for the offices of however small number of the Board of Education people there are, it seems to me there's better locations. For instance, the third floor of Town Hall is empty. There's very little action up there. I mean, why could they not move their offices up there? Sell off that old school property or use it for other purposes. I mean, rather than pay to maintain it and replace air conditioning systems and heating systems and all of those things, let's put that money to better use. Sell the property off or find other better uses for it to generate money for us versus cost us money. I mean, that's just an example, and I'm not an expert by any means, but just in asking questions and talking to people, I think there's ways that we can save money, do a better job, really, improve communication between the Board of Education and the rest of town council and the town hall. I think we can do some things that will help improve the town overall. As far as the Democratic Town Committee and the way they bring people forth to put into office, I'm a Democrat, although I see myself as a moderate. I'm not, I would vote for who I think will do the best job versus just for party. I'm not a for-party person. But I think we need to find a better way. I feel like one of the advantages, I think, of my not only being here 3 years is I don't have any, I don't owe anybody anything. I haven't promised to do anything for anybody in return for something else. I will vote my heart and my mind, whatever I think is best for the town. And I think to me that's an advantage. But I think a lot of Democratic Town Committee members are not that way, and I'm not saying they're bad people by any means, but their interests are different. I'm not convinced that they're all really for what's best for the town when they select people to run for town council, and which is why I'm not running as a Democratic Town Committee member. I'm running with the separate slate, the alternative slate, the challenge slate, the Better Bloomfield slate. I think that the BetterBloomfield.org, the Better Bloomfield group, is really interested in what's best for our town. It's a group of what I feel is intelligent, not self-focused, people that care about our community, people that care about the people in our community, and they want to do the right thing to make things better for everybody, not just one or the other. So I'm excited about the Better Bloomfield program. I'm excited to get the word out there. We've got a lot of really interesting and exciting things coming forward from there. I guess the bottom line is I'm really excited about what's coming. I think we've got a great slate, a great group of people running for town council. If we can get on there, we can really fix a lot of things that need to be fixed. And most importantly, above all, is honesty and integrity. I'm not a perfect person. I make mistakes. I own my mistakes when I make them, and I appreciate people that do that. I'm not afraid to admit that I make mistakes. But if I go on town council, I will be an honest guy. I'll tell you what I think. If you have a question, I'll give you an answer. If you need help from me, ask me. I'll do whatever I can to do it. It's been my focus. It's just how I live my life. And I really hope I get to serve the community on the coming town council. Thank you very much.